Hey everybody, it's Monday night. I'm Dr. Nick Circolone. You're listening to Health Chat or watching Health Chat, depending on if you're on our podcast or you're watching us on Facebook or YouTube Live. Guys, I have a great show for you tonight. It's an interesting show. I was on vacation last week for fall break with my wife, and we went to visit family. And we were at my in-laws in West Virginia, and I had my niece and one of her girlfriends. We kind of did a little show together. Let me tell you something. It turned out to be fantastic. I learned a lot about what the kids are dealing with now with trying to go to school in this hybrid schedule during the pandemic. I learned a lot about what they're dealing with as far as anxiety and depression. So if you have kids or you have grandkids in that teenage group, you need to be sitting back and watching the show. You need to be telling your friends about the show and seeing if any of their kids are dealing with the same things that my niece and her girlfriend are dealing with. So as Uncle Vinny would say, grab a cup of coffee, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. I am so excited. I have two lovely ladies here with me. We actually tried to do a recording earlier, but we lost some of it. So they're all warmed up. They're ready to go. Next to me is my niece Reagan and her girlfriend Mackenzie. Let me tell you something. We had a 20-minute show just a little bit ago, and we lost it. So they're all raring to go, and they're all warmed up. They got all the questions right. So we're going to delve right into this. And basically what we're going to be talking about is how they're feeling about this hybrid school and how school is. But I'll tell you what, we're going to talk about some more serious stuff is about what it's mentally doing to them and how it's affecting them. And let me tell you something. This last 20 minutes that we talked about, and I'm sorry we lost it because it was phenomenal. They were awesome. They were talking about people with anxiety and what they're dealing with and how this whole pandemic has brought a lot more into it, which I really want to talk more about. So let's really kind of delve right into this, ladies. Let's just go right into it. Mackenzie, we were talking earlier about school and how you feel about this hybrid school where you're home by yourself. You know, your brother's in his room, you're in your room, your younger brother's at school. So what are you finding the hardest about school besides the workload?
Besides the workload, I think the hardest thing is just being by yourself, not having a teacher there to show you what to do, because you can't even ask for help, really. I mean, you can, but your teachers are not guaranteed to answer you within, like, it could be 12 hours later that they answer you, and it could be past the deadline by then. Like, you can't get help. You just have to figure out how to do it by yourself.
That seems to be hard in general if you're a student. Like, you're high school students. In college, you're expected to do that. But when you're in high school, you need a little bit more help with that. How about you, Reagan? What seems to be your biggest issue with this?
Well, I feel alone because, you know, like she said, you don't have a teacher there. And sometimes when I don't understand, I get so frustrated, I just cry. Because I just don't understand. I don't know what to do, and I just feel alone because, you know, you're not with your friends, and, you know, your parents are working, they can't help you, and you're just alone, I guess.
You know, we were talking earlier about the workload. Your workload seems twice as much as you would if you were in regular school, right? Mm-hmm. Why do they do that? I mean, did they give you a reason why they do that? Why they give you more information that you have to do, you know, where you weren't doing that before?
Well, I think it's because we're not in school 3 days, and they feel like they just have to give us this whole workload, and in reality, it's just too much.
Some of my teachers have actually even said out loud in class they're giving us so much more work because we're at home all the time. They say, you're at home all the time, you have so much more time than you normally would. But in reality, you really don't, because you have all the work to do. You're having teachers from all 8 or 9 of your classes saying, oh, you're at home all day, you're not doing anything, you're just sitting around playing games or eating or something, and you're not, you're trying to get your work done. So they're giving you 2 hours worth of work for each class. You can't do that every day. You literally don't have time in the day to do it.
Now, you guys are 15, soon to be 16. You're sophomores in school. What are your classes that you're taking? What are the classes you take?
I take personal finance, driver's education, honors geometry, biology, U.S. studies, English honors 10, algebra 2 honors, and gym.
All right. How many do you have?
I have English 10 honors, gym, geometry honors, biology, band, my HOSA class, which is like healthcare career based. It's a medical terminology class basically. Algebra 2 honors and US studies.
All right. You guys have 8 classes apiece. Okay? Mm-hmm. 8 classes, you're getting 2 hours worth of work per class. That's 16 hours. That's a lot of hours that they want you to get done. Now, we're not talking 2 hours a week. We're talking 2 hours a day, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Does anybody say anything to the teachers about this? Has anybody complained? I mean, and here's the thing. Your students, you should not complain about the work that we give you. But has anybody said, hey, listen, we cannot accomplish what we need to accomplish in this time frame because not only is it taxing us, but we're stressing out about it. Has anybody said that to the teachers?
There have been multiple people that have said something. I know my boyfriend, his family is good friends with the assistant principal. So his mom said something to him, and the assistant principal basically said, suck it up and do it. Which is surprising for his character because he's not usually like that, but that's basically what he said. I know our Algebra 2 teacher, she did cut back on her work a lot because a few people had said something to her, and she's like, okay, I can see how that would be a lot of work, so she
actually
cut back on her work.
Well, I can almost see the assistant principal saying, suck it up, because he's not there. He's not seeing what you're getting. He's not seeing the workload. All he has to do, he has a lot of administrative duties. He has a lot to worry about. He's got a school to run. And I do understand what he's saying. But when you're in the trenches like you guys, that you're overloaded and have all of this stuff just kind of on and on and on, that's got to be taxing on you. You guys have been in school since September, and yet you feel like you've already gotten a year's worth of work done, I would assume.
Honestly, yeah. I feel so stressed all the time, and it's just not okay.
Do you think this is helping you for college?
Absolutely not. No, not at all. I feel like I'm not learning anything. You're just trying to get it done so you don't fail.
Exactly. Trying to keep grades up.
If we were talking and we were just kind of having this conversation and I did not ask you your classes that you were taking, people would be watching going, well, they just don't get it. They don't just understand. Well, what you need to understand is that you're taking honor classes, which means that you guys are great students. So what you're saying is not because you're lazy, not because you don't want to do the work. It's because this is how you really feel. And that's really important, because if I was sitting back and I'm just like, hey, I'm a D student, I'm doing okay, that's different. But you're not. You guys are really, really good students, and that makes a difference. When you're good students and you make that effort, I listen to that. It's not like you're messing up and screwing around. It's like you really care about it. Like, what do you want to do when you grow up?
I want to go into forensic medicine.
Okay. What do you want to do when you grow up?
I want to be a reproductive endocrinologist.
All right. So these girls are not just, they know what they want, okay? They know the things that they want to do, and they know that they have to get the good grades to get into the schools that they can get into. So when you're telling me how hard and frustrating what you're doing is, I sit back and I go, wow, what do we do to fix this? So, a lot of people may watch this that are in my area in Tennessee, but you have friends, you have family, they're going to see this too. And I encourage them to, because some of the things that we're talking about, they need to know. Sometimes you need your parents to make that effort and say, listen, here's what my daughters are doing. Here's how much work they're putting in, and yet they're not getting anything out of it. They're just getting your work done and really not advancing and learning something about it. Now, we talked about something earlier that was really, actually breaks my heart. we were talking about anxiety. So the question is, how much anxiety are you having?
A lot, honestly.
Okay. How much anxiety are you having?
I had some before, but since this, it's just skyrocketed. There's too much to worry about.
Okay, and what we did talk about, and we're bringing this up again, is that we were talking about over-medication. How many of your peers are taking medication for anxiety, depression, and how many of them are dealing with stuff that they can't even function properly because they're so isolated? You were saying before, I want you to say what you said before again about people with depression. And people you know. This isn't just hearsay. This is people you know.
Yeah, no, this is... I won't say anybody's name, but a close friend of mine is struggling very, very badly. I'm not going to talk too much about it, but she's already on medications for things, and she even hates the way it makes her feel. Because she said the medication, all it does is it makes her feel numb. It's like in her brain telling her, no, you have to be happy, constantly, even though that's not actually what she's feeling. So it's just like a weird feeling of being numb, but your brain telling you, no, be happy.
And yet, she's your age. Do you have people that you know too?
Well, this close friend is also a good friend of mine, and I hate to see her this way, and, it takes a toll on people,
my age, people are on medications, a lot of them, for anxiety and depression. And yet, when I hear that 15 and 16-year-old students are on all this medication, something's wrong. Something's not right. Why are you on this medication? First off, why are we prescribing so much medication? If there's so much stress that you guys are dealing with, we're doing something wrong as adults. We're doing something wrong.
I think that it's parents and doctors think that giving you medication is an easy fix. It'll just fix it really quick. You don't really have to deal with it for a long time, and that's not true. Because if you have 60-70% of teenagers saying, hey, something's wrong, and they just want to give them medication, it's not doing anything. If you have that many people saying that there's something wrong, you need to find out what's causing it, not just give them medication and saying, oh, that's fixing it. It's not fixing it.
It's not at all.
You guys listening to these girls? They're telling you that there's an issue that they shouldn't even be dealing with, and they're telling us, hey, we got a problem. How do we deal with this? But yet, all we want them to get good grades. We want them to do really, really good in school. We don't want to get any trouble out of them. And yet, we're creating this group of people that are going to be adults soon who are going through depression. You're hearing that these young ladies are dealing with some things. They know people that are dealing with some of these things, which saddens me. It's like when you're 16 years old, you should be worrying about driving and where you're going to go if a boyfriend's going to ask me out or a girlfriend's going to ask me. This is what you should be worrying about, not like we talked about before. If you're home and your home life is bad, what are you dealing with? And you were talking about it, and I guess you were talking about it too, that you know people that their home lives are not as good as they should be, and they're dealing with other issues on top of this depression, on top of this anxiety. Am I correct in saying that?
Yes.
So, I mean, what do we need to be doing? You're telling me, I saw we were talking about your classes, your math class, okay? And your math class. Mm-hmm. And you have to do a certain way of getting this answer, which is really basically adding and subtracting and the whole bit, but yet you have to do all of these crazy steps to get that answer. 2 + 2 is 4, but you got to go through this whole rigmarole to get to that 4 answer. Why?
They think it's teaching you how to apply the concepts, and it's really not. They think doing it the old way, which is the way a lot of people learned, that's even the way we learned in elementary school.
Exactly.
They changed math on us in 4th grade. You have any idea how hard it was to relearn math in 4th grade? Completely start over?
Common Core makes no sense. It just makes it so much harder, and it puts it more in depth, but kids don't get it as well. They don't understand. because their parents were taught a completely different way, and now they're learning a different way, and they just don't understand why you have to learn it a whole different way. Why is it harder? Like, why do you have to go through all these steps?
What I'm seeing here, okay? When I was a kid, they used to say reading, writing, and arithmetic, and I thought that was the 3 R's, which was really funny because arithmetic is not an R. But anyway, so when we were talking about that stuff, we had to learn it, and it was not easy going to school. But they're saying that we're teaching you how to think, objectively think. I'm talking to you guys, and you're objectively thinking. We inherently know how to do that. By doing crazy math or by giving you all of this work, I think we're doing you an injustice. I'm just giving you a personal opinion now. I'm probably going to get yelled at, probably get all kinds of information going, why are you talking to these girls that way? But these are intelligent girls. These are girls that are telling you, hey, I'm having so much to do because it's not even peer pressure anymore. Mm-hmm. This is just, I have to show that I'm capable of advancing through school. Am I wrong in saying that?
No, you're completely right. Parents and teachers, they're like, you have to get good grades, you have to pass, you need to go to college. And that's all they're worried about. They're not worried about who you are as a person. They're not worried about how you feel as a person. They don't care about your opinion. They're just like, get good grades, pass, go to college, get a job. That's it. That's all they care about. They don't care about anything else.
Emotional state, the toll it puts on their kids. I mean, they need to pay attention. They need to see what their child is really going through, not just worry about their grades, their future. You need to worry about the present. You need to worry about now. How are you doing? Like, what's your emotional state? Like, are you doing okay? Because this is why so many kids are depressed. You know, they just don't think all their parents care about is their grades and their future. They'll go to a good college, get a good job. They feel like that's all they're worried about, not really about their emotional state.
And so many parents, it's an unbelievable amount. Their kids will try to tell them, hey, I'm sad all the time. I don't know what's wrong. I feel so worried about everything all the time. Trying to tell them that they have anxiety or depression. And the only thing their parents will say to them is, you're 15, you don't have anything to be sad about. You're 15, you don't have anything to be worried about. You don't even know what real life is.
Well, I'm sitting here listening to you, and real life at 58 years old, don't say anything, versus 15 years old, my perspective of what's reality and your perspective of reality is our perspective. That's what we don't get as adults sometimes. We don't get that you have a perspective. Now, don't get me wrong. There are some teenagers you just want to bop in the back of the head like they do on NCIS, like, bop, bop, right in the back of the head. But you girls are smart. Like, I want you to get the best you possibly can get, to go to school and advance yourself and go to college and become professionals in college. What about the people that don't want to go to college? What about the people that really, they're not college material? They don't want to go to college. Are you guys like, are there trade schools for them to go to?
There are trade schools. That's a thing I think schools need to tell you about. They need to tell you about the career options you have if you go to trade school or if you don't go to any kind of school after you graduate high school. There are good careers that you can go into and not have to do that. You don't have to go to college to have a good career. My dad is an electrician. He had an electrical class in high school that he took, and he graduated and became an electrician. He did not have to go through any other sort of schooling after that. They need to tell kids that you can do that. You don't have to go to college. You're not going to necessarily fail in life if you don't go to college. They press that into your head like, if you don't go to college, if you don't do this, you're going to fail in life. It's not worth anything if you don't go to college. That's not true. There are other things you can do.
Yeah, and there's many good opportunities you can get from trading schools. Like, they train you how to do the job you want to do without having to go to college and get a degree. And that may be the better plan for some people. But that doesn't mean they're not good enough for college, but that just may be the better plan for them.
You know, it's funny. I'm going to say something. When I was in high school, we had a trade school called Swenson Skill Center. And you can only go to this skill center if you had A's and B's in school. Not if you were a mess up. You had to show that you can do the work. And you went to high school for 1 week and trade school for the other week, and you had to do high school and trade school at the same time. I did that, and I actually became a plumber and pipe fitter before I was a doctor. So I've worked in, as a plumber, and I've worked as a pipe fitter. That's helped me go through school. It helped me pay for college. So it doesn't mean that if your dad decides that he wants to go to college, it doesn't mean he can't go to college. It's just this is a career choice that he chose. And I think that we need to offer that to you guys, because someday, you know what? Just because we have a computer in front of us doesn't necessarily mean that everybody's going to be a computer genius. Not everybody's going to go to school to become a doctor. Most of the time, listen, if I need something fixed in my house, I need an electrician to come to fix my stuff. Mm-hmm. If you need a toilet fixed, okay, I'll fix my own toilet. But if you didn't know how to do that, you would have somebody do that for you. Mm-hmm. A lot of people, I have a buddy of mine, he is awesome, a very successful doctor. Give him a screwdriver, he wouldn't know what to do with it. But he needs those people to help to do those things. So do you think that, what would you tell your teachers to do to help make your job not easier, but more challenging and being able to feel like you're learning something? What do you think about that, Reagan?
Well, not to make it easier, but I think they should slow down, but give more work that's more like challenging and something that we can actually learn from, like maybe like a project, because there's a way you can do projects to like hands-on projects that you can social distance to. Like I believe we should do a little bit more hands-on stuff, not just everything from a computer screen, because I feel like I learn nothing on a computer screen. So I think they should just slow down just a little bit and give us more hands-on stuff, because that's what we're there for. We're there to learn, and I believe a lot of kids learn better hands-on, not just by looking at a computer screen all day.
How about you? We're getting a timer going off, but that's okay.
Everybody learns different ways. They need to remember that. They try to give you one way of learning, and not everyone can absorb information that way. They need to do some stuff that are hands-on. They need to do some things that are reading and writing. They need to do some things that are watching the teacher do something. Because different people learn different ways. Everybody learns their own unique way. If you try to make everybody learn from reading out of the textbook, answering questions, 66% of the people aren't going to even learn anything.
Exactly.
I'm sitting here amazed. You know what I'm thinking about right now?
What?
Guys, this is going to sound cool when I tell you. I think I'm going to have these girls on with me more often. I know they're giggling like, please don't do that. No, this is okay for here. But I think I'm going to do that. I think what we're going to do is I'm going to set something up so we can talk on the phone and download it into the computers and literally do shows like this. Because I will tell you what, I am learning so much just by sitting here. I wish we did not lose that other 20 minutes. I'm so sorry about that because it was great. Yeah. But what we're learning here, what we're getting here is a perspective of intelligent people. I'm not going to say teen, but intelligent young ladies that have a lot to offer. And let me tell you something. There are people out there that look at you Facebook, look at YouTube, that want to hear what you have to say. And you know what? We could probably make a difference in just talking about this. Like somebody that has depression says, this is what I'm dealing with. And we need to talk about that more. Of like, if you have friends and we can all, because there's a way that I can do this, that we can all talk on the same line, rather not from a Zoom, but something else where we can ask questions and people really want to know the difference about what's going on in your lives. But I'll tell you what, one thing I did learn from you is that I'm assuming that you're distance learning and you're watching the same thing that everybody in the classroom's learning, but that's not it. You guys are getting extra work while you're at home, and then you get the lectures when you go to school. See, I'm assuming that you see the same lectures that everybody sees that same day, but that's not the same thing. You're not getting that, are you?
No, we're not.
So let me ask you a question. If your teachers were videoing their, like almost Zooming what they were doing that day, do you think it would be better if they were doing that than what you're getting now?
I kind of do. I know our Algebra 2 teacher, she has certain sets of notes that we do each week. And that's how she would have done it in class, because we had her last year too. We had her for Algebra 1. And she would give you notes, and she would write it on the board and explain it as she went through it and give you a bunch of different examples. And the way she's doing it now, she records the exact same thing that she would do in class and does all the same examples and stuff. And it makes it so much easier to learn because she's sitting there explaining it to you, explaining it in depth, not just barely gracing over it.
I think that's cool that she has her own YouTube channel where you can just go back and rewatch videos and just actually learn, because the way she explains it, you actually get it. Most teachers don't do that. Like, I have a teacher who just reads what's on the board but doesn't actually teach. I don't get anything from that. So I think everyone should follow her example.
All right. I shouldn't do this, but I'm going to ask. What's the teacher's name?
Lisa Bibb.
Lisa Bibb.
Well, I'll tell you. Ms. Bibb, you're awesome. Because what you're doing is you're taking her time to teach you guys. She's taking her time to make those YouTube videos. She's making that time to make sure you get the information. That, to me, is an excellent teacher. She's prepared. She's giving you what she needs to give you, and you're learning from it. You're in a bad situation right now. You're in something we can't control. And we talked about this earlier. I personally believe that after November and December, when we start realizing that a lot of kids are going to school and we're not seeing an uptick in COVID with you guys that are in school. Well, I asked you the question earlier, Mackenzie. How many people in your school had tested positive?
Nobody's tested positive getting it from school, but since we started, there was one girl that tested positive, but she got it from her mom at home.
So think about that. If we can show that we're not increasing the COVID, we're not seeing upticks in it, I think we should go back to school. We should be going back to work. We should be doing the things that we need to do. If we need to social distance, if we need to wear a mask, you okay with that?
Yes, if I get
definitely.
to go back to school, I would wear it.
And I think not only will that help you guys, but it'll help the teachers. And what it'll do is it'll help some of this anxiety. I'm not saying we're going to get rid of anxiety once COVID's over, because we're going to have that. But we need to be looking for that for our kids and our grandkids, and and I think you talked about it with this one where, actually we was on the other one. What did you say to look for? You said to look for something.
Look for the tiniest changes. Like, you might not even think it's a big deal, but it probably is. Teenagers are so much smarter than you give them credit for. If they don't want you to know something, you're probably not going to know about it. If you know about something, it's because they allowed you to know about it. People are probably going to get mad at me for saying that, but it's true. You have to look for little things. Subconsciously, you're going to want help from somebody. You're going to show the tiniest changes. I mean, you could see someone stop showering every day or stop brushing their teeth like they should. It could be something as little as that you might not think is a big deal, and it really is, because if you're suffering that much in your own head by yourself, you're probably going to stop taking care of yourself. You're not going to care as much to do things that would keep you in good health or keep you safe.
My advice to parents, please always check up on your child. Like she said, always look for the tiniest things. You need to pay attention to what's going on in your child's life, because you never know, because teenagers are smart and they will hide things from you, and you just need to keep checking on them and look for things.
Checking on them does not mean, by any means, do not invade their privacy. Do not just take something from them, because that feels like a punishment.
Exactly.
That's going to make them hide things from you even more. You might think, oh, if I just go through their room, or oh, if I just take their phone and go through it, that doesn't help. That makes them hide things from you even more. Like,
actually talk to them. Don't just take things from them.
If you set up a trusting relationship with your kid, they're going to be open with you. If you're so closed-minded and just try to invade their privacy. They're a person too. They are their own person. As much as you want to deny it, they're their own person. You can't just take away their privacy. You can't say you don't have privacy because you're not an adult, because that's not true. And when you're doing that, it's making it so much harder on them to even try to open up to you and tell you if something is wrong.
Exactly.
I am blown away, guys. These women are phenomenal. We're talking to 15-year-old girls. Do they sound like they're 15? They're giving us advice that we really need to hear. You know, you're spending a lot of money on counselors for some of these kids, and yet you just got it from the kids themselves. These girls know what they're talking about. I can see, you know, and I bet what they're telling you, they're seeing themselves. So what's really cool about this, and what makes me think we need to be doing more of this, and we may take Health Chat in another direction. I'm not sure yet. I mean, this is kind of good. I mean, I'm enjoying this because this is what helps people. And that's what I love to do, is to love to help people. Guys, it's been a quick time. I mean, we had 20 minutes that we lost, but now we just ended this show. Guys, I want to thank you so much. Thank you, Reagan, for coming on with me.
Thank you.
Thank you. You guys have been awesome. You've been great.
Thank
Mackenzie.
you.
I mean, I'm amazed. And I want you to make sure that your friends see these videos. Make sure your friends see this. Okay. Make sure your parents see this. This is really important stuff. What you said today is super, super important. And guys, you can always like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and what's the other one that I like? Oh, you can go onto YouTube and check us out on YouTube. Guys, contact me on healthchat@gmail.com. You can call my office, 423-855-7376. Or you can email me again at healthchat@gmail.com. If you like what you see, if you understand what these girls are saying, if you have some opinions, I'll pass it on to them and we'll try to do more shows. Guys, it's been a great day. You've been awesome. Awesome. I've had so much fun doing this. We love you guys. God bless, and we'll see you soon.